Lakers still, and I think it's never more clear than it has been now. Lakers-Bucks finals. Lakers in 5. So Thursday, we kick it off, 6 o'clock on ESPN, Lakers versus the Clippers. Saturday, we will have a podcast dropping, kind of recapping. It's going to be a straight NBA segment, going to be recapping the games that happened Thursday and Friday, kind of what I saw, my takeaways. It's going to be a shorter podcast, but nonetheless, you will get another podcast Saturday morning, so be on the lookout for that, and I am pumped that the NBA is back. Let's shift over real quick to, let's hit a couple more topics, and then I'll let you go today. First off, the MLB has returned. It kicked off. I actually found it kind of enjoyable. I don't know if it's just because we're all missing sports. I'm assuming that that's what it is, because I like baseball. I like watching baseball, but I can't sit and watch baseball. I can't sit and watch every single game. I watched the Cubs play on day one. Go Cubs, we won. But I couldn't sit there and watch game after game after game. I didn't miss baseball that much. I think the shortening of the season, though, has engaged a lot more people. My attention span, especially mine, my attention span has drawn closer to the MLB because of the shortened season, which means that the games actually matter now. They can't wait till 100 games in to go, hey, we have to win these last 40. It's 60 games, 62 games. That's all you get. So I appreciate that aspect. I think baseball's been fun, but there's a major problem in baseball. The Marlins had to cancel their opening day game because of 11 players testing positive for COVID-19. Here's where I think the MLB probably won't finish a season and the NBA will. The NBA is heavily isolated in a bubble. No one in or out that's not allowed. If they are, they're quarantined by themselves and tested every single day. The MLB is not in a bubble. The MLB get to go, these players get to go home. These players kind of get to go out and round about. I mean, they have rules set in place, but there's no real way of executing those rules. The NBA has a bubble where they know who's walking in, who's walking out. Everybody's being tested. They know where you've been, how you've been, where you're sleeping, where you're staying, what you're eating. The NBA knows all. Now, does that suck for the NBA players because they're really just living in a hotel room playing Xbox and watching movies? Yeah, that sucks. But at the end of the day, the NBA is going to be able to finish its season where I don't think the MLB will. The MLB is not really putting any heavy guidelines in place, which they have guidelines, but it's hard to keep these players kind of encompassed like the NBA does. Now, I know it's a whole different animal being baseball to basketball. I get that. I don't see why we couldn't put these MLB players in a hotel, that's by their facilities or something. We've got to find a way to kind of rein that in because we're going to start seeing a lot of MLB games canceled because someone tested positive for COVID-19. 11 players for the Marlins. So even though while I'm glad baseball's back, I think baseball's going to be over a lot quicker than we think, which makes it pretty upsetting to me and to all the fans out there that were excited for the season to kick off. So MLB, please find some way to kind of keep this a little bit more contained, a little bit more orderly. We will miss an entire MLB season. I found it enjoyable to watch. I think it's just because it's a lot less games. These games mean more, so the players look like they're playing a lot more focused and a lot harder, a lot earlier in the year, which I love, as opposed to the first 65 games not meaning jack, and then the last 100 meaning a lot. So I really appreciated that aspect. I think it's going to affect a lot of teams. Baseball is very momentum heavy. You get better as the season goes along, the more you touch and feel and bat. So I get that it's a lot harder. I'm not saying, make the whole MLB season always 60 games. That's idiocracy. But I think it's just an engaging season, and I don't want to lose that. I want to be able to appreciate MLB and appreciate these players having to come back, and I don't want the MLB to have to shut down because of COVID-19. Now on to my favorite topic of the day. Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Tyson, at 54 years old, has not fought since 2005, will take on Roy Jones Jr., who was fighting less than 2 years ago. This fight is going to be incredible. Mike Tyson looks sharp, he looks strong, he looks engaged, he looks cerebral, he looks dangerous, he looks terrifying. A lot of that's because of a face tattoo. But we take the face tattoo out of it, Mike Tyson will dominate this fight. It's a 12-round fight. Mike Tyson's going to win 8 of the 12 rounds. Tyson, his punches look sharp. He's engaging his core, his legs, which means that Tyson's not going to burn out after 2 rounds, which is what Conor McGregor did. A lot of people don't know, if you watch the McGregor fight, McGregor did not engage his core and his lower half nearly as much as he should have. Therefore, after rounds probably 6, I would say, 5 or 6, he was burnt. Didn't have the energy to go forward. Tyson looks good. It's scary, it's frightening, it's fun, it's exciting. I think Tyson is going to win, like I said, 8 out of the 12 rounds. Tyson is going to dominate this fight from start to finish. He's too good. He's too good of an athlete. He's too cerebral. He's too strong. He's too quick. He is too good. Jones Jr. now he's no pushover, for sure. It's not like Jones Jr. is just your average, Joe in a gym. It's not. He's a monster as well. The problem is the other monster on the other side is bigger, better, stronger, faster, scarier, has a face tattoo, which I don't know why that automatically makes him better, but it does. The best part about this entire fight, yes, I am beyond pumped that Tyson is coming back. I am beyond pumped to see this fight. The undercard is probably, for me at least, a little bit better. For those of you who don't know who Jake Paul is an enormous douchebag on YouTube. He calls his fans the Jake Paulers. Team 10, for those of you who also don't know, he is, what's the best way to put this? He is every kid you hate in high school with a lot more money. First off, he has hideous tattoos. And no one can say anything about my pineapple tattoos, which I do have 2 of them. So I know I can't say too much. But Jake Paul is an enormous douchebag. I hate Jake Paul, to be honest. I don't think his content's funny. I don't think he's that good of a fighter. He's decent. He's strong. He's got great hands, horrible feet. I think that's where his problems lie when it comes to the boxing realm. He's got decent strength, pretty good sized. I think he's around 6'2 or 6'3. I can't remember. So he's a big dude, but his opponent, standing at a whopping 5'8". A lot of people say 5'9". A lot of people say 5'7". I like to say 5'8", just to go in between everybody and piss everybody off. But he's listed at 5'8". Nate the Great Robinson. Yes, for those of you who don't know who Nate the Great Robinson is, he is a former NBA All-Star. Won a dunk contest against Dwight Howard, actually jumped over Dwight Howard. I know that is impossible to believe, but Nate Robinson was one of my favorite players to watch. I think his best years were in Chicago. He was incredibly fun to watch. He was a great NBA player, really was. He gets a lot of crap, but I think Nate Robinson was a great NBA player. So 5'8" Nate Robinson will be taking on Jake Paul as the undercard to the Tyson fight. If there's ever a fight night that you need to tune into, if you're not a boxing fan, a UFC fan, if you're not a fighting fan in general, this is the fight night you tune into. First off, you have Tyson finishing off the night. Wow, that in and of itself could sell without any undercard. Now you're adding Jake Paul and Team 10 versus Nate the Great Robinson in a 12-round prelim fight before Tyson. Come on, son. This is incredible. Come on. You can't tell me you're not as excited as I am. Nate the Great will win. It's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to a decision. But I think Nate Robinson lands more punches than Jake Paul. Jake Paul might get 1 or 2 more knockdowns, but Nate's too quick. Nate's too fast. Nate is too great. He's got great hands, great footwork, strong. He's low to the ground, so therefore he's going to be hard for Jake Paul to really get a good swing on him. Nate the Great takes this fight. Then we see Tyson come out, knock it out of the world. September 12th, put it in your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. One of the greatest fight nights in history. Real quick, someone just emailed me in the official the rundown list on Nate and then of course on Jake on their fighting styles and all that. But Nate is officially listed at 5'9", and Jake Paul is officially listed at 6'1.5", closer to 6'2". So pretty close on those numbers. It is going to be a great night. Mark it down in your calendar, September 12th, for one of the greatest fight nights in history. Go Nate, go Tyson. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the locker room. I hope this episode has been great for you. I honestly was a little bit nervous coming back into it. I'll settle down and get back into it. Get ready for another episode dropping on Saturday after the Thursday and Friday NBA games. It's going to be NBA emphasized. We might talk a little sports around it, but it's mainly going to be emphasized on the games that we watched. It's going to be a shorter episode, so make sure you're tuned into that. Thank you all for the support. Thank you all for continually listening. If you would like to know how you can help the locker room, here's a few quick ways you can help the locker room. Help us grow by sharing this with your friends. Getting the word around, word of mouth, has helped us out a lot more than anything else. If you like the episode, post it on your Instagram story, post it on Twitter. Let people know what's going on here at the locker room. If you'd like to help another way, follow us on all 3 of our social media accounts. We are giving away a free t-shirt to the first 2 people that do that today. So if you are a fan and you do want to continually stay up to date, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Instagram, TLR with Jacob. Facebook, The Locker Room host Jacob. And Instagram, The Locker Room Podcast 615. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media. Comment. If you like something, comment on it. Like it. Make sure that you're sharing it to your wall. The more eyes and ears we can get to that, the better. And last but not least, continue to listen. Continue to support us. Continue to be my listeners, my followers. I love it. It's been just a little bit overwhelming, the amount of love I've gotten over this podcast. Something that I've always wanted to do. So if you want to help us out, those are 3 ways you can help us out. Make sure that you're tuned in to Saturday, where a brand new episode will be dropping. Like, subscribe, follow. Thank you all for listening. Be ready for a vengeance, for a comeback season of the ages. Hashtag LeBron of a world of podcasts to come. Once again, I'm Jacob Courtright, and this is The Locker Room.